People say midnight knocks are either the start of miracles or disasters. That night, when I opened my door and saw my boss standing there, her hair messy, her eyes trembling, her voice whispering, "You're the one I want. I want to stay tonight," I realized my entire life was about to change. Whether I was ready or not, the night had been painfully quiet, the kind that made every thought echo louder than it should. I had just finished my late dinner and sat on the couch, replaying the day in my head. My boss, Alina, had been unusually quiet during our meeting, avoiding eye contact, twisting her pen, forgetting her usual sharpness. I noticed, of course. I always noticed her. But she was my boss, and some lines weren't meant to be crossed. I turned off the lights and prepared to sleep when 3 soft knocks landed on my door, gentle, hesitant, almost scared. I froze. No one visited me at this hour. My neighborhood slept early, and I lived alone. When I opened the door, I didn't expect to see Alina, still dressed in the same clothes from the office, breathing unevenly as though she had been holding her emotions hostage for hours. "Alina?" I whispered, my voice unsure. She looked up at me, eyes glistening in the dim hallway light. I didn't know where else to go," she said, her voice shaking just enough that I felt it in my chest. Before I could ask anything, she stepped closer and whispered, "You're the one I want. I want to stay tonight." My heart stumbled. It wasn't the words, not really. It was the vulnerability behind them, the way she said them, like a confession and a plea at the same time. I moved aside immediately, letting her in, trying to appear calm while my mind spun like a storm inside. She sat on the edge of my couch, hands clasped tightly, shoulders trembling as though she was holding something painful inside. I sat across from her, giving her space. "Tell me what happened," I said softly. She breathed out shakily. "I had a fight with my ex-husband again. He showed up at my apartment. Said things he shouldn't have. Things that made me feel unsafe. I tried to brush it off, but when I got home, I just couldn't stay there." Her voice broke. I realized I needed someone. Someone I trust. I stayed silent, letting her speak at her own pace, and the only person I trusted, the only one I felt safe going to, was you. The words struck me harder than any confession of love could. I didn't know whether to feel honored or terrified. She wasn't supposed to rely on me like this, but she did. She chose me. She wiped her eyes quickly, embarrassed. "I know this is inappropriate. I know I'm your boss. But I didn't come here as your boss tonight. I came as someone who's tired of being strong alone." "Alina," I whispered, unable to look away. "You're safe here. Stay as long as you need." Her shoulders finally relaxed, as if my words were a permission she desperately needed. For the first time since I met her, she looked small, human, fragile. I brought her a blanket and some water, and she gave me a soft, grateful smile that did something to my heartbeat. We sat together in silence for a while, not awkward, just comforting. She looked around my small home as if it was the first peaceful place she had stepped into in years. "You really don't mind?" she asked quietly. "I don't mind at all," I answered. "I'm glad you came." For a moment, we just looked at each other. Something unspoken passed in that quiet space between us, not romantic, not yet, but something growing, something warm. She leaned her head on my shoulder, just briefly, but it sent electricity through me. "Thank you," she whispered, sounding like someone who hadn't said those words in a long time, and with that, the night changed everything. The morning light found us in the most unexpected situation. Alina asleep on my couch, wrapped in my blanket, her breathing calm, her face peaceful for the first time since I'd known her. I stood in the doorway for a long moment, watching her. I never thought seeing someone rest could make my heart ache this much. I made tea quietly, trying not to wake her. But she stirred anyway, blinking slowly as though she couldn't believe where she was. "A good morning," I said softly. She sat up, brushing her hair back, her cheeks slightly pink. I'm sorry for last night. I shouldn't have just showed up like that." "You don't have to apologize," I replied immediately. "Anyone would have done the same." She shook her head. "No. Not anyone. I went to you because, I don't know, something about you makes me feel safe. And that scares me more than anything." Her honesty felt like sunlight, warm and blinding. We sat at the small table, sipping tea, letting the quiet speak. Then, she looked at me with a seriousness that made my heart stop. "I was afraid you would think less of me for what happened yesterday." "Never," I said. Everyone breaks. Everyone needs someone sometimes. She smiled gently, but sadness still clung to her eyes. I'm not used to being vulnerable. People expect me to be strong all the time. Perfect. Unshaken. You don't have to be perfect here, I replied. Not with me. For a moment, she looked at me as if she was seeing a new world. That means more than you think. But then came the hard part, the reality outside my walls, she sighed, placing her cup down. Things at work might get complicated. People misunderstand easily. And I don't want to risk your career or mine. I nodded. I knew she was right. Feelings, no matter how real, had consequences. We don't have to define anything, I said gently. Not now. Just allow yourself to breathe. Heal. And when you're ready, we can talk about everything. She stared at me, really stared, like she was memorizing the moment. You're rare, she whispered. And maybe that's why I came here last night. Not because I was scared, but because I finally found someone who sees me. Her words hit deeper than she could imagine. We cleaned up, shared a quiet breakfast, and I walked her to the door. As she stepped out, she turned to me and said something that stayed with me long after she left. Last night saved me. And one day, when I'm ready, maybe I'll tell the world the truth, that the person I ran to in my darkest moment was you. And then she smiled softly, the kind of smile that hinted at something beautiful waiting in the future, and left. As the door closed, I realized something: strength isn't always in standing tall. Sometimes it's in asking for help, and love, real love, doesn't start with fireworks. It starts with trust, at midnight, at a door you never expected to open.